strums are a fun rhythmic addition to your strumming repertoire and can be used in a lot of different ways to add flourish or to create like a different texture when you're strumming. But it's a little different than our sort of general down, down, up, down, up. You kind of have to think of your hand in a slightly different way. So today for this lesson, we're going to use just these two fingers, your index finger and your thumb. Something that's helpful before we get too deep into this is to practice strumming up and down with both your index finger and your thumb. I think a lot of people, once you find a comfortable strumming position, we kind of stick with it. And one or the other finger may be weaker on an up strum or a down strum. So it's worth kind of looking into. So first off, let's go ahead and try strumming down, just down with the thumb. Maybe let's do it on a C chord. And we're just going to strum down 1, 2, 3, 4 with your thumb. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's going to sound a little mellow because you're coming down on the fleshy part of your thumb. Now let's try the same thing with your index finger. It'll sound a little crunchier because you're going to come down on the nail of your index finger. And this should be pretty familiar. We're just going to go down with your index finger. If this is not how you usually strum, if you usually strum with your thumb, and you feel like a little weak on your index finger, something you can do is support your index finger by putting your thumb across it, maybe across the first knuckle, little knuckle segment there, and just support it with your thumb so you can kind of increase the rigidity of your finger if you feel like it's a little too weak, or if you feel like it's too stiff and you're getting stuck between strings. You can move your thumb back towards, you go from here to here, back a little bit towards your larger knuckle, and that'll make your index finger a little more flexible when you're strumming. So it's almost like a volume knob. If you feel like you're strumming too quietly or too loosely, just sort of move your thumb up and create a little more stiffness at the tip of your thumb, the tip of your index finger, and that'll help you bring out a little bit more volume. Okay, so moving on. Let's try up strumming with the thumb. So when you up strum with your thumb, you're coming up on the corner of the nail. Just up strums. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like that. This one is probably a little weird. I don't usually up strum with my thumb unless I'm doing something like this. And it helps if you're having a little trouble with that. Try pointing your thumb at yourself just a little bit. So your thumb is aimed a little bit more at your body. Okay, so let's try strumming up with the index finger too. So you're going to come up on the fleshy pad of your index finger. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pretty straightforward. Okay, so now let's just combine those, and with your thumb, let's try going down and up. Down, up, down, up, down, up with the thumb. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And let's try the same thing with your index finger. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. With just your index finger. Okay, so now you have an idea of what those down and up strums feel like when you're isolating these two fingers. So the first triplet strum pattern I'd like to look at, I learned from a lesson from the Hawaiian teacher and performer Kimo Hasi. This is our motion. Down with the index finger, down with the thumb, and then up with the index finger. And this can be kind of complicated because as you're going down, you're trying to practice letting it be a smooth motion. Index finger down, thumb down. And you want to keep your hand as relaxed as possible. As you let your thumb follow your index finger, strumming down, all in one down strum. So practice that by itself. That's the hardest part of this. It's just down, down with your index finger and then your thumb. And then the last little piece is just up with your index finger. So you should end up with something like this. Triplet, 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 triplet. let's try it on a C chord. And I'll go ahead and count us in. 1, 2, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if that feels too fast, definitely practice it slower. Let's give ourselves a little more space. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is not the only way to triplet strum. If you are familiar with Ukulele Underground, there's a great Aldrin Guerrero lesson where he talks about doing a triplet strum as well, and then his order of fingers is a little bit different. For him, the order goes up with the thumb, up with the index finger, and down with the index finger. Thumb, index, index. For me, that's a little bit harder to do. I kind of do the index, thumb, index, but let's go ahead and practice it anyway, because for some people this may be comfortable. And you really do have to kind of play around with a couple of different styles to see what fits your hand the most. Like I said, thumb goes up, index finger goes up, and that index finger goes down. You can kind of think of it like this. If you're strumming up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, with your index finger, you gotta find a little spot before that first up to put your thumb. So if you just practice going up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, see if you can fit the thumb right before the first up. Thumb up, down, thumb up, down, thumb up, down, thumb up, down. Let's try that again slowly. It goes thumb up, down, thumb up, down, thumb up, down, thumb up, down. If you find it hard to do this strum, check the angle of your fingers. I find that if my thumb is too shallow, like if I'm at, kind of a shallow angle with my strings, it's a little harder than if I'm pointing at myself a little bit more with my thumb and my index finger. It's easier to make contact with the strings that way. So let's go ahead and give this a shot. We're going to do thumb up, down. Thumb up, index finger down, just like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like that. So, once you feel like you found which triplet strum works for you, or if you make up your own combination of which of these two fingers goes on which piece, then try applying it to a song that you already know. Take any song that you know that's in 4-beat patterns or 3-beat patterns, and just try doing this with a simple chord progression or like something familiar. Maybe let's do like 2 bars on C, 2 bars on F, and 2 bars on C, and see what it sounds like. And I'm going to use the index down, thumb down, index up pattern because that's my favorite. Okay, so here we go with our pattern. 1, 2, here we go. C, C, F, F, C, C, F, F, and let's end on C. Okay, so that's a tough one. It's a challenge, these triplet strums, but they sound really cool. So go ahead and practice that and see where you can throw it into your song rep. There's lots of creative ways to put this in a song. All right, have fun practicing.